So you'll see that I have my 5 fingers, and I'm going to go put my fingers on the serratus anterior, which are the 5 little finger muscles over your ribs. And I'm listening to her ribs. I'm listening to her ribs, whether they're moving or not, whether I notice any breathing when they're moving. Well, when you're breathing, is there any movement in the ribs? Does it feel tighter on the left side, or does it feel tighter on the right side? And if they're tighter, she'll be leaning. She'll have a preference of leaning. Now, Renee seems to be leaning mostly from her waist, is what I was trying to point out there, and as opposed to really bending from the ribs. Now, we want to think of those ribs as an accordion. One side opens up while the other side closes. So I continuously use my fingers in that way when we do side bending. Now I'm asking her to slouch. And when we slouch, we want to slouch perfectly. That means every vertebrae wants to bend evenly. So in other words, one vertebrae doesn't want to go back further than another, so that you have an even C curve. That would be the ideal. And of course, we're not going to get there, but that's sort of what we're looking for. What bends, what doesn't bend, what resists. You'll see in the upper area between the shoulder blades, it's not as easy. Some people have a hard time rocking back to their tailbone and get the lumbar area involved. And then when you do round like that, you will notice with your fingers in the front of her that the ribs in the front come closer together, because we're opening up the ribs in the back as we're looking for the spine to round. And this is how we sit in front of computers all the time when we wonder why we have digestive problems, because we are compromising our rounding, our diaphragm, our ability for the diaphragm to move down all the time. If we're sitting like that for a lot, most of the time as a habit, that's okay to sit like that. It's okay to move like that. We just don't want to stay stuck in a habit. Okay, so now I'm continuing to look for that rounding. And that's partially because I'm also trying to bring to her awareness through my touch where her spine is. And what is the connection to her shoulders, to her neck. And as she exhales, can she feel the front of her coming together? And then as she inhales, it opens up. And maybe she's got a little bit more pockets or space between each of those intercostals. So that's the reason for the side bending. I do a lot of the rounding here, but now I'm walking up her spine. And when my touch touches her spine, her brain senses it. Right? Because it's a touch not to do, it's to inform. So here I'm bringing my fingers together perhaps, but now I'm helping her lengthen the back of her neck. And then we're coming back up.